Today we have a Jaguar F-Pace SVR. In this video I'll talk about what the F-Pace SVR is, how I feel about the interior space, and what it's like to drive it. Now, it's hard to believe that the F-Pace, Jaguar's first SUV, has been with us since 2016 and its time is coming to an end. Chances are that if you're watching this, the F-Pace is no longer in production, as June 2024 is the month before Jaguar shifts its production to fully electric vehicles. While the F-Pace is beautiful, yet another boring compact SUV, that's not the case with a model that has letters SVR added to its name. You see, the Brits were crazy enough to put a monstrous 5-liter supercharged V8 with 550 horsepower and 516 pound-feet of torque. But that's not where the fun ends. Aerodynamic enhancements include larger air intakes at the front and side fender vents that lower pressure in the wheel arches, reducing lift and providing additional cooling, while also assisting with high-speed stability. The upgraded chassis features a set of progressive front and rear springs that are 30 and 10% stiffer respectively. Incorporating anti-roll system contributed to reduction in body roll, and bigger brakes feature two-piece construction to better slow down that 4,500-pound monster. Now, before we talk how it all works together and what it's like to drive the SVR, let's jump inside and talk about the interior space. The attention to detail inside the F-Pace, typically for a Jaguar product, is impressive. High-quality materials cover most of the interior, real aluminum has its presence across the cabin, and plastic elements aren't offensive. You get a mix of physical and haptic controls for core functions such as climate control or drive modes, and for all its performance, the SVR retains the practicality of the regular F-Pace with a practical trunk and storage solutions across the cabin. The bucket seats aren't super comfortable, mainly because of firm backrest, but they do provide a good support, which you will appreciate when driving aggressively, and being 6'1", I had no issues finding a good seating position. Moving to the back, the F-Pace offers enough space for 2 adults, and even the seats in the back offer good support for your passengers when you're gonna toss the Jag around corners. Alright, so that was the interior of the F-Pace SVR. Let's get it on the road now and see how it drives. .550 horsepower, 516 pound-feet of torque, and 0 to 60 in 3.7 seconds. Those numbers speak for themselves, so let's just launch this thing. Oh yeah, the supercharged V8 is the highlight of the F-Pace SVR. The power delivery is linear, your heart beats faster and faster as the revs approach the red line, and the soundtrack generated by 8 cylinders is truly addictive and cannot be mistaken with anything else on the road. Now, while the racetrack isn't necessarily a spot for the SVR, a curvy back road like the one you see here is. And let me tell you something, I had plenty of fun behind the wheel. The F-Pace basically behaves like a lifted hot hatch. You still feel like you're an SUV since you sit higher to the ground, but the chassis tuning and handling capabilities suggest otherwise. Pushing the car through corners doesn't upset it, and maybe it doesn't stay super flat, but it's very predictable. Unless you have it in the dynamic mode and add too much gas in the middle of the corner. See, the torque distribution of the all-wheel drive system is already rear biased, but when you engage the dynamic mode, the car essentially turns into a rear-wheel drive vehicle, with torque only diverted forward when the rear tires run short on traction. I honestly wasn't expecting that, and going sideways, even slightly in an SUV, is more fun than you think. The steering provides a good feel and responsiveness for an electric power steering, and the brakes are very effective, inspiring a lot of confidence. But you're buying an SUV for practicality, so how's the SVR as a daily? Pretty good. Yes, the suspension feels stiff, and yes, modulating the braking power isn't as easy as it is in your typical compact SUV, but the F-Pace SVR doesn't punish you for being a performance vehicle. The 8-speed transmission is always in the right gear and quick to respond, the cabin is quiet, and if the V8 growl offends you, then there is something wrong with you. So, how's the Jaguar F-Pace SVR? With everything we covered, let's jump to the final thoughts. It's very sad to see the Jaguar ditching internal combustion engines and going fully electric. That means the F-Pace SVR has to go, and even though it isn't a perfect performance SUV, I love it for its rawness and glorious supercharged V8. With a $92,000 price tag, the Jag isn't cheap, but if you can afford one, get it, enjoy it, and keep it as long as you can. If you have any questions about the F-Pace SVR, drop a comment and I'll answer them. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll catch you later.